Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Kina, and you're watching Kina's Life. Whether you're new here or a returning viewer, I'm so glad to have you with me. Why do so many people fall for romance scams? Pig butchering scams? How can friends and family help? Romance scams, also known as pig butchering scams, have become a global issue. Victims often fall into these scams because of emotional dependence or a desire for love. These scams are typically run by organized criminal groups who carefully create fake identities and situations to attract victims. They gradually build emotional connections and then exploit the situation to ask for money, gifts, or other resources. So why do so many people fall for these scams? Here are some reasons. Number 1. Emotional needs and loneliness. Many victims are looking for love or companionship, especially those who are single, elderly, or going through emotional difficulties. These individuals are more likely to believe the sweet words of a scammer and invest emotionally, especially when they lack support from others. Number 2. Psychological manipulation. Scammers carefully design virtual scenarios that make the victim feel they have found the perfect partner. They use psychological tactics, such as projecting empathy and building trust, to make the victim gradually rely on and believe in them. Eventually, the scammer manipulates the victim into making financial sacrifices. Number 3. Convincing disguises. Thanks to modern technology, scammers can create highly realistic virtual personas, including photos, videos, and social media profiles, making it difficult for victims to detect their true identities. These scammers even mimic the personalities they construct, making victims believe they are truly in a relationship. How can friends and family help? If you suspect that someone close to you is falling victim to a romance scam, here are some ways to help. 1. Maintain communication and understanding. Avoid blaming or criticizing the victim, as this may lead to resistance. Instead, try to understand their emotional needs and communicate with care, reassuring them that you have their best interests at heart. 2. Help analyze the behavior. Help the person step back and objectively analyze the behavior of the other party, especially any requests that seem unusual or out of place, such as urgent money demands or reluctance to meet in person. Remind them of any red flags. 3. Provide third-party advice. Encourage them to seek advice from trusted friends, family, or professionals. This will allow them to step back from the emotional trap and receive rational support. 4. Report to authorities and seek professional help. If there have been monetary exchanges, or worse consequences, it's important to report to the authorities as soon as possible and reach out to professional anti-fraud organizations for assistance. How to identify potential romance scam traps. Identifying romance scams can be challenging, but here are some common warning signs that can help you avoid falling victim. 1. Requests for money or gifts. Scammers often create a crisis to pressure the victim, such as claiming to be ill or facing a financial emergency, and then ask for money to help. A real relationship will never be built on financial assistance. 2. Overly eager and sweet talk. Scammers move quickly to build an emotional connection, sometimes declaring love at first sight. They often express intense feelings very early, attempting to get the victim deeply involved in the relationship. 3. Avoiding in-person meetings. If the person constantly finds reasons to avoid meeting face-to-face or delays an in-person meeting indefinitely, this is a clear red flag. Scammers usually make excuses to avoid in-person encounters. 4. Unclear identity. If the person is reluctant to discuss their true identity or provides unverifiable information, they are likely hiding something. You can reverse search their photos, ask to meet their friends or family, or verify their stories. 5. Exclusively virtual communication. If the person avoids phone calls or video chats, but only communicates via text messages or social media, it may be a sign they are hiding their real identity. In summary, preventing romance scams requires vigilance and maintaining a level of emotional detachment when forming relationships online. Helping loved ones involves showing care, patience, and offering rational support. It's crucial to stay alert to red flags and be ready to act swiftly if a scam is suspected. Recent examples of romance scams. Romance scams are becoming increasingly prevalent, and recent examples show how scammers are taking advantage of the virtual world to carry out their crimes. Below are a few recent instances of romance scams. Number 1. Fake military scams. Recently, in both China and Taiwan, there have been cases where scammers impersonated overseas soldiers or international aid workers. The scammers typically create a fake profile on dating platforms, claiming to be a military officer or an engineer. They then build an emotional connection with the victim and, after establishing trust, invent a story in which they need money for an urgent situation, such as travel costs or emergency funds. These scammers often build the relationship over months, then ask for large sums of money, claiming that they are in a dire situation. Since the victim believes they are dealing with a soldier or aid worker, they may be more willing to help. Number 2. Love and investment scams. In the United States and Southeast Asia, there have been multiple cases where scammers have combined romance and investment fraud. Scammers first form a relationship with the victim, then recommend a high-return cryptocurrency or stock market investment plan. They claim the victim can make easy money, and once the victim invests, the scammer disappears with the money. These scammers often promise big returns and encourage victims to invest more money. Early on, the victim may receive small returns, which encourages further investment. Eventually, the scammer disappears with the funds. Number 3. Medical expense scams. In some Asian countries, including China and Hong Kong, there have been cases where scammers create fake serious illness stories to steal money. The scammer, claiming to be sick or to have a relative in urgent need of treatment, asks the victim to cover medical expenses. The victim, moved by sympathy and trust, is often manipulated into sending money. For example, a woman was deceived by a man claiming he had cancer and needed emergency medical funds. The victim sent over a substantial amount of money, only to later find out that the man didn't exist and had no illness. 4. Fake rich businessman scams. There have been many cases worldwide where scammers impersonate rich businessmen or entrepreneurs to lure in victims. These scammers usually show off a lavish lifestyle or wealth to impress the target. They don't immediately ask for money, but gradually build the relationship by showcasing their supposed affluence. After a certain period, the scammer will invent an emergency situation that requires the victim to help transfer or invest money. For instance, one woman was scammed out of over $300,000 by a man claiming to be a wealthy businessman, only for the scammer to disappear with her money. Prevention and response. These recent examples highlight how scammers are becoming more sophisticated in using emotional manipulation to exploit victims for financial gain. To protect yourself, here are some tips. Do not provide money or financial details to someone you've only met online, especially if they haven't met you in person or provided solid evidence of their claims. Verify their identity, such as by reverse searching their photos, asking to meet their friends or family, or conducting video calls. Be cautious of urgent requests, whether for money or overly hasty declarations of love. These are often signs of manipulation. Seek professional help if you suspect you are being scammed. Report to authorities and reach out to fraud prevention services immediately. Romance scams typically involve emotional manipulation and financial fraud. Stay alert, keep a level head, and act quickly if you suspect you or someone close to you is being targeted. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Your feedback means a lot, and it helps me create more content for you. See you in the next video.